Jonathan Fahey is joining us, of course, former acting director of ICE under Donald Trump, the first administration, and always appreciate having you on, Jonathan. Want to talk about illegal immigration, a couple of different things that are on my mind this morning. But first of all, you are in, if I'm not mistaken, the Washington, D.C. area, Virginia. So what did you think of two things? What did you think of the military parade, the Army's 250th birthday? What did you think of that? And what did you think of the No Kings protests over the weekend as well?
Well, first, the military parade was actually quite cool, and I think it was, a very, patriotic event, and it wasn't anything that the left wanted it to be. They wanted it to, somehow they were suggesting that it was all about Donald Trump, and it really was all about the military, all about our history, all about our country, and the great things our military has done to make our country so great. And I think, you hear all these stories about it cost $43 million or whatever. This was, and I think Brett Baer and some of these other people have covered this on Fox, this was probably, if it was $43 million, probably the best spent $43 million for recruiting, retention, and morale that the military could have possibly spent. So I think it was a great event. And you see with Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, just in the fifth month, I guess now, recruiting numbers are through the roof, and they were abysmal during Biden and when Lloyd Austin was there. So everything they're doing on this was great. The No Kings protest, they succeeded, I guess, since we don't have a king. But other than that, it just seemed just performative, and it was paid for by, it's one of these standard left-wing things where it's paid for by all of these outside groups that are paying protesters, sponsoring it, and then the media is like, oh my gosh, look at all these people out there, as if it's sort of this spontaneous, organic protest. It's utter nonsense, and it's sort of like they have nothing, they don't have any more tricks in their bag, so it's just disruption, complaining, all these types of things, because on the issues they know, at least the core issues, they know Donald Trump is not only correct, but also more popular with the American people. But, it seems like that's all they're going to do this summer is disruptive and try to make it seem like the public is sick of Donald Trump and that he's doing these things that are authoritarian and all those things that they keep throwing out there, which in fact he's not.
No, I mean, if he was a king, we wouldn't be having these debates over the big, beautiful bill and all the other things that, we're debating in this country. By the way, breaking news, Trump says, I'm not too much in a mood to negotiate with Iran, which, Jonathan, I don't know if you have a take on the whole Iranian thing, but, it is interesting because all for the last, months, Donald Trump has been begging Iran to negotiate with him and his administration to try and take care of their nuclear ambitions once and for all. And now he's saying, I don't feel like negotiating with him now, because clearly they're getting their butts kicked by Israel. And so I think Trump, I don't know, maybe he's going to let this whole thing play out. As we cover this morning, as we have in the last, 4 or 5 days specifically since Israel started getting far more aggressive with Iran. I don't know, you got any take on all this?
I think overall with Donald Trump, he can be basically your best friend or your worst enemy on these things. And he really does want to work things out. He wants a deal. He wants peace in the Middle East. You saw him when he was over there earlier this year in the Arab countries. He doesn't want this to go on, but he's not going to be pushed around or manipulated or tricked by Iran, and not going to put our soldiers, our citizens in danger any longer. And a lot of people have been talking this on the media that, this has really been, 40, 50 years since the Iranian Revolution, and they've been consistently attacking Americans abroad with various terrorist attacks. And I think it's either time they need to come to the table of good faith, or they're done. And it's not going to be pretty for them, because I think Donald Trump, the other thing we know, if he's going to, if there's going to be any sort of fight, he's going to fight hard and fight to win. It's not going to be the standard one hand behind their back type of thing.
Yeah, and of course, it's all going to come down to, from what I can tell, it's all going to come down to this bunker buster that we have. And this is a bunker buster that, from what I understand, I'm seeing conflicting media reports, but some media are reporting that we actually can't just give this bunker buster bomb to Israel. We have to drop it ourselves because we have the capability to drop it. It's going to go deep enough to hit their underground nuclear facility. and Israel can't do that. We, from what I understand, from what some people are saying, we literally, in order to take care of that underground nuclear facility, we have to drop the bomb. And this has turned into a bomb for the Republican Party, because you have Republicans who are saying, oh, no, we can't get involved in another forever war. And you have people on Donald Trump's side, and, they're all saying that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So it is a big conversation.
Yeah, there's definitely a split in the Republican Party, but I think most of the split with the Republican Party is the fear of what happens next, meaning, does this mean we go on and do the Iraq regime change and all of these things, or do we just take care of the nuclear weapon? I think if it's just taking care of preventing a nuclear weapon and not meddling it to the extent we've done before, I think most people will be okay with it. I think people are fearful, and you hear some of the same talking points of, like, the Iranian people are yearning for freedom, and we've heard that all in Iraq, like they're yearning for the Jeffersonian democracy, and maybe they are, but I'm very suspicious of them, and I do think, if they get a chance to have a democracy, they might vote in the same guys that we were kicking out. So I think that's the part that I think everyone is afraid of, is the next step 2, which has not worked out any time that I can think of, at least recently.
No, I mean, Lindsey Graham is one of those guys who is always calling for regime change. This is actually what he said last night on Sean Hannity. Listen.
Wouldn't the world be better off if the Ayatollahs went away and replaced by something better? Wouldn't Iran be better off? The endless war is Iran. Since 1979, they've been attacking the entire region, chanting death to America, death to Israel since their very founding. It's time to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah and his henchmen. Let's close that chapter soon and start a new chapter in the Mideast, one of tolerance, hope, and peace.
So, I mean, you have Lindsey Graham there, and he is saying we need to do regime change. And Jonathan Fahey, you're absolutely right. Okay, so if we do that, then what comes next? And that's where things can disintegrate incredibly quickly. So I wanted to get that audio in. Jonathan, coming up, I do want to talk about some immigration stuff, including the fact that Washington Post is reporting that Trump is going to expand the list of countries that we are banning from coming into America. Former acting director of ICE Jonathan Fahey is joining us. One of the things that President Trump wants to do is he wants to expand his travel ban. Everybody knows what the travel ban is. Now, Washington Post and some other outlets are reporting that he wants to include in this new ban, whole bunch of new countries, right? You've got Angola, Antigua, you've got Cambodia, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of Congo. You've got Egypt in there as well. I don't want to go through all of these, but Egypt, Nigeria, you've got South Sudan, Syria's on the list as well. So were you surprised that the president has now decided to add to the 12 original countries, and now he's got, I think it's another 36?
Yeah, not necessarily. And they're really looking at this, and we've talked about it before, but they are looking at this immigration issue, or people even visiting the country. They are putting the American people's, safety, the national security first. And if there's, if it's a close call, err on the side of the American people. And it's such a big difference between the Biden administration, which honestly, I cannot think of a single instance where they put the American people ahead of the interest of illegal aliens or national security or anything else. It was always illegal aliens first, political correctness first, and the American people were placed in danger and are certainly worse off because of it.
And some of the things that Trump wants to do, and the reasoning behind this, is that these countries don't vet the people coming into our country. They come in, they stay, they never leave, overstaying their visas. It's the same thing. So that was part of the news cycle this morning. Also part of the news cycle, Jonathan Fahey, it looks like Trump is softening his stance when it comes to the farming community and their migrant workers, illegal aliens, and so forth. You've got the farming communities. You also got the hospitality industry. I think probably construction eventually will be in there as well. And basically, from what I can tell, what President Trump wants to do, he wants to ease up on, the sort of, workforce raids, or focusing on the work workforce in those communities and really focus on the blue cities, the sanctuary cities like your Chicago and Los Angeles and so forth. And it does seem like a bit of a change.
Yeah, and I think it's a good change because remember, ICE, they have limited resources. So the major problems in this immigration issue, one was obviously the Biden administration, but so many of these sanctuary cities have been attracting people to come here illegally by saying we're a sanctuary city and you won't get kicked out. And the other part that they're doing is they're the ones that won't even let ICE kick out criminals. So they spend so many more resources having to chase criminals in the community rather than just take them from a local jail, which would make total sense. So I think this makes a whole lot of sense in terms of it will get more of the serious criminals kicked out. It will also, put pressure on these sanctuary cities that have done so much to undermine the immigration law, undermine our, public safety, cost extraordinary amounts of money. So I think this is a very good move. I think it's the focus has always been, at least the highest priority has always been national security, public safety, getting the criminals out. So, and that's where they're going to find the most of them. So I think this makes sense. Also, these sanctuary cities, they are essentially harboring illegal aliens. They're essentially operating to obstruct ICE from its mission, and that shouldn't be tolerated. So I'm very happy that they're going full on after this. I think it will do tremendous benefit or be a tremendous benefit as far as deterrence, because we're already seeing now we're having a greater outflow than inflow of illegal immigration, and that will continue it. If you have a world where once you get to LA, you can never be deported, that's not obviously not a good thing for the rest of Americans, and it undermines our immigration law. So this needs to stop. He's putting a stop to it. And overall, I think it will be a greater benefit to public safety. And maybe they'll get to those other things later, or, once they get more resources with this new, big, beautiful bill that has a lot of resources for ICE. I think it's about 10,000 new agents.
If you've got, let me just ask this question as we wrap this up. If you've got illegal aliens working in the farming community, if you've got illegal aliens that are critical to construction or hospitality, and they're here illegally, and if the option is one of three things, you can go in there and get them and deport them, and who cares what happens to the farming community. You can also just let them stay and just forget about it. Or you can, number three, fix the broken visa system. See, it seems to me, Jonathan, that you can fix all of these issues, or a lot of these issues that we're talking about with the workforce, by just coming up with a website or somehow coming up with a system where these folks can go in and they can renew their visa, their work visa, or whatever they need to do to bring themselves up to date. Because a lot of these people are here on either expired visas or they snuck in and they just never went through the steps.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Is have a system for people to do it legally, but not have any status as far as permanent status or an ability to become a citizen. But that sort of goes back to the birthright citizenship issue. We have to deal with that as well, because once people come here and start having kids, next thing you know, the kids are citizens, and then we see all the issues when you try to deport the parents that they want to overstay. But yeah, I think the move is find a system that works, and also, go back to the Democrats, what they were doing and what they've been doing. Their whole idea is get all these people here, get them ingrained in society, and then say, oh my gosh, we can't deport them, we have to make them citizens, and oh, by the way, they're going to vote for us. What a crazy coincidence that is. So, we know this has been the game, right? And we see it. It's like flood the border, and now Donald Trump is the one that's being cruel by just actually doing what he was supposed to do, and the people that didn't do what they were supposed to do are complaining about it. It's so outrageous. It's so cynical, and we all know what they're doing. They look at every illegal alien as 0.67 chance they're going to be a Democrat, right? Or, so it's like, okay, and particularly if they get legalized under some Democratic scheme, it'll probably be higher. So the Democrats know what they're doing. They're playing the law game, and they made the call at some point to say, we're throwing the working class overboard and focusing hard on illegal aliens and identity politics, and they're going to ride this thing because I don't think they can go back on it.
All right, Jonathan Fahey, great analysis as always. How can folks find you on X?
John for Fairfax, JONFORFAIRFAX.